Good evening, televiewers. You're welcome to this other edition of Prime Hour on My Media Prime. We're glad to have you once again before our screens to look at what is making news in Cameroon and the war. We are this evening going to be looking at the sentencing of some CRM militants to jail terms ranging from 7 to 1 year. We are asking the question what the CRM is going to do as a response to this situation, but then we are focusing on the implication of this decision on Cameroon's democracy. We also are going to be looking at our regional assemblies and councils, if time permits, or trying to evaluate them since their creation, especially with attention to the regional presidents. We are discussing this with our panelists who are in the house already. Our consultant, Apostle Ambe, Valentin Ngwa, is in the house with us. Good evening and welcome.
Good evening, Mr. Njoh. Good evening, my co-panelists. Good evening, Cameroonians and viewers of Prime Hour. It's been a very busy holiday and we are back here in the studio, the African Eye, to discuss what is burning in our nation. Thank you for staying glued to your screen as we bring you very important information that will bless your soul.
We also are in the company of Emmanuel. He is a very strong activist, civil society activist. We're glad to have you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Njoh, for the confidence. I will surprise you tonight. You see, I want to start giving my greetings to the people of Boyo Division, especially Funong. Did you know that there is a Prime Hour quarter in Funong?
Okay.
So, whether there is electricity in Funong or not, at this time as we are speaking, there is one man, permit me to greet him, if I'm not forgetting the other name, I think it should be Gilbert Munang. He owns an electronic store where they have created a particular area there. Every 7 o'clock when I was in Funong, I was invited there. And I saw it as if it was a football match, only for Prime Hour. So, I am transmitting their greetings to you because they say they are waiting for the day that they shall see Mr. Njoh in Funong live, not as a Prime Hour host. So I'm so elated to be here this evening, and I say the people of Funong, where there is, of course, relative calmness, I am back with.
We'll be discussing with Paddy Asanga this evening from Germany. Good evening to you, Paddy, and welcome. Okay, Paddy is not yet connected. We are starting with you, Apostle Ambe, Valentin Ngwa. Did you see this sentencing coming?
Well, Cameroon is a nation that looks like an octopus. You can never know where they are coming from. So, an octopus has a lot of heads. You can definitely not be able to interpret it. This is a nation that we are yet as Cameroonians to interpret the way they operate democracy and other activities in the country. If I was told that these guys will be sentenced for this length of time, considering the crime that they claim to have committed, I least expected such dayterms to be meted upon these people. But nevertheless, because we live in a country, like my friend Far Eves always say, a kangaroo system, you just have to expect anything at any time. Taking judge, a military tribunal where we think it is cases of terrorism and that are being judged in such a court. I don't think those political activists are terrorists who have been judged in a military tribunal, but they are judging political activists as terrorists. That is another infringement against the law. And then for them to be sentenced, on what grounds? We don't know the charges on which they were sentenced. And for 7 years, some 6 years, Bibun Isaac, Professor Alain Fogwe, I was very, very surprised and I was taken aback. But like I said, we are in a country where you cannot interpret the law because the law is not interpreted from the penal code which we work with in our hands. It is interpreted based on what people feel. So it's strange to some people and strange to me to some extent But I don't think I was taken by surprise because Cameroon is a country where anything can happen anytime.
Okay. Njoh, did you see this coming?
Well, if I say that I did not see it coming, then I'm lying. But if I say that I saw it coming, I will also be lying that I'm a prophet. You see, there are three questions I want to put forward this night. The first question is, are we living in a nation of injustice, or we are living in the injustice of the nation? That's the first question. Question two, what could be the real definition of democracy without freedom of speech? Question three, where is the place of the woman in Cameroon politics? Because what touched me the most in what just in a recent sentencing is the 7-year slam on Awaso Mispa. And it is coming at a time when the whole world is struggling to make more women into politics. And of course, we know it's a woman who has been very vocal. She has been very present when it comes to thinking that Cameroon should go forward. Another question that comes forward now is, are we very sure that Cameroon has only one president? Because it's like the justice of Cameroon now depends on rumors. What I heard and what other people from the ruling party, I hope the person of the ruling party invited will be coming soon to clarify the air, is that some of them were putting on the t-shirts written on it, Où sont les 32 PV? And it aggravated and it provoked the situation. But we know that Cameroon is facing my problem is with the CRM itself. Because when you are going into a football field, knowing that there is no referee, you make sure that what they call shingles, you put the shingles that your opponent cannot penetrate. One, this party has one of that it has the most committed militants, I must say, and I must agree. But at the head of this party, there is a problem. And I think the real problem there is coming from Professor Maurice Kamto, who is the leader of this party. This is a time for us to know whether CRM was only at the level of noise or they were at the they could come up for action. Because there are two things that made me to start doubting the credibility of Kamto. You know, when you work with CBDM, your body can leave CBDM, but your soul will still belong to CBDM. I have the impression that Kamto is still operating with CBDM, Mr. Leo. Because one, you were locked up in prison alongside militants because of a cause that they were following after you. You were released. You left them in prison, you came out. That's point one. Point two, there was an election that I can say without fear or favor that if MRC went in for this election, they wouldn't have had less than 30 parliamentarians, given the quality of the people who were going in for it. No matter the mafia that the LDPC would have played. But then, overnight, the leader said they were not going in for election. And you saw the dissatisfaction, the anguish that developed within the ranks of this party. You saw the people like German who disappeared overnight and went now to form MAPA. You discover that he came to Douala at a time when he was supposed to just speak about the launching of his book. He instead endangered the lives of his militants by making declarations that to me were not necessary. Today, they have been slammed 1 to 7 years term. We are waiting to see whether Kamto will save them or he will go to his shell. Because the families are in pain. The families want to see their people come out and celebrate with them. And another thing again, Mr. Leo, is that we have seen little or no reaction come from the direction of the so-called opposition associations in Cameroon. I wanted to see Reform Party come out with a statement. I have not heard it. We saw only PAP. We have not seen any official statement from the SDA.
We're going to be coming.
We have not seen any official statement from PCRN, which means that it recomforts our position. Us who have been saying that as of now we don't yet have parties in Cameroon. We have only people who are out to make noise and get some political gains and then disappear into thin air.
Okay, we're going over to Boya to get a reaction to this topic from Tiku Felix.
Good evening, Mr. Leo, and good evening to the entire panel. I wish everyone a happy and a prosperous new year in advance. Mr. Leo, thank you again for such a wonderful opportunity to be a part of the program today. Well, Mr. Leo, with what is happening in Cameroon, I just want to say there are times when, let me just say it in pineapple. It is said, when power make you chop chair, you dey get power. Even if you seize your brother a foul, because power still dey alive. But when power no dey, now for there you go know whether that foul where you be taken from your brother be correct or not. The duty to respect human rights is an obligation by the state in order not to directly infringe on the rights of its citizens. In other words, states are obliged not to commit any act against human rights and against human rights principles that will prevent citizens from enjoying their rights. Cameroon, Mr. Leo, is a member of the United Nations and the African Union, and it has ratified many UN human rights conventions, especially the International Convention on the Civil and Political Rights. So, Cameroon has made binding international commitments to adhere to the standards laid down in this universal human rights documents. But the government violating even what they ratified and are supposed to protect. And there is nothing the international community, who is matter of condemning, can do but to keep or continue with their condemnings. We have seen the government violate the ICCPR severally, especially Article 21. That has to do with the Kamto issue, which we are talking here. Article 21 of the ICCPR or the covenant protects peaceful assemblies, Mr. Leo, wherever they take place, be it outdoors, be it indoors or online, and may as well take many forms, including demonstrations, protests, meetings, and whatever. We saw the government in the Far North region and Littoral region prohibiting 2 private meetings planned by the opposition party, CRM, citing concerns around COVID-19 and general public order. We have seen the government use anti-terror laws and limitations of movements due to COVID-19 as a pretext to restrict freedom of insurrection, and that illegal demonstration across the country will be punished under the anti-terror law. Mr. Leo, people have been arrested during peaceful protests, taken to court, and charged with terrorism and rebellion, crimes that are held only in military courts. I think Kamto should know this and understand that if all the above was done just within us and with us, then it will be worse when it comes to defending the integrity of the country with foreigners in the country. This is what we call pure democracy, the French African type of democracy. I think Kamto should have known better, Mr. Leo.
Okay, Kamto should have known better, but he raised an issue here that so far we've not heard so much from opposition parties. We've heard also very little from civil society organizations. Is it a known event?
That is it we have in this country. And we keep preaching about the coalition of political parties in the country. We keep sitting down in sessions to organize strong talks against the electoral procedures in the country. And all these things put together, you will see them snap pictures after sitting in meetings. Cabral Libi is standing there, Kamto is standing there, Eddie Kambangwala is standing there, Prince Ekoso is standing, and they have meetings in Hilton to sit down and deliberate on how to fight against the poor electoral process in Cameroon. And a particular party amongst them is now giving wrong judgment, because I will consider this as totally out of place. Giving poor judgment, first of all, they were wrong, judged in the wrong court. Military tribunal is for terrorists. Those people are not terrorists. They have preached to us in this country the only legal means to take power or to seize power is becoming a political party and then go through an electoral process. These people have accepted that path to become a political party. They are now going through the measures and the right door to become the people that want to take power. If they are being arrested, the rights that are given to them, they don't have the right to manifest. They don't have the right to move in the street. They are not even permitted to launch books, I mean common books. Professor Kamto wrote a book and everywhere was militarized. He couldn't even launch the book. Why? Cabral Libi in this same country wrote a book and was given the opportunity to launch the book. What are they trying to communicate to us? Are they telling us that political parties are more political oppositions than others, or what? How can Cabral Libi launch a book in this country and there was free and everywhere was, well, there was peace everywhere and serenity? Then now come to intend to launch a book, they come again and then they block him. That means there are more political parties who are more political parties than other political parties. And then these political parties sit together in the name of working in a coalition to bring out the power in question, which is what happened in Gambia. When Yahya Jammeh ruled Gambia for almost 22 years, there was no way he could be kicked out of power until it was